What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. I was reading some comments by James Worthy, the great Lakers legend, and I have to say some of his comments definitely, just reading his comments, they definitely had some validity to them, definitely some truth. He speaks on the Lakers, of course, as he always does, gives his opinion, and his opinion is validated, especially because, like I said, he's a legend and he's played for the Lakers and he's helped win championships in the Lakers organization before. So he's one of those players where his opinion is definitely valuable. And in speaking to that, he basically says about the Lakers, they weren't trying to build, and they're not trying to build. They're all about this win now mentality. And they did the same thing with Kobe Bryant his last couple of years when he was on his last legs. Or should I say his last good years, I would say. They tried to do that with Steve Nash and bringing in Dwight Howard some years back. They tried that then, and they did it now with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook. And, the point he was really trying to make was, trying to win now is always, it's always a plus, but at the same time, it can come back and bite you, because it's a plus if it actually works out. And if it doesn't, it makes you look embarrassing and it makes you look foolish, because really, how it's supposed to go, a team's supposed to develop players and help build a culture around young players. So the continuation of, the legacies, the continuation of a team being good can go on over and over and over instead of like stopping. And as far as the Lakers, what James Worthy said, they had some good young talent and they let them all go just trying to win now, and it backfired in their face. They had Lonzo Ball, they had Julius Randle, they had Brandon Ingram. You see what I'm saying? They had some good pieces, and they actually let them all go simply because they were trying to win now and trying to, get the chip and everything. And like I said, usually that's a good thing if it works out. But, James Worthy also said that they did the same thing in Brooklyn when they tried to win with the big three with James Harden and all that, even though injuries came into the play, I would say. But, sometimes big threes don't always work out, and sometimes they take time to work out. Because I can remember even back in the day with the Miami Heat, when they had LeBron, D Wade and Bosh, that first year they lost in the NBA Finals embarrassingly to Dallas, and one superstar and Dirk Nowitzki and a bunch of role players. And, they were the favorite to win easily. And I think they was up 2-1 in that series, honestly. So they had the series where they wanted it, and they still found a way to lose it in 6 games. And that's basically what James Worthy was saying, trying to win now, sometimes, like I said, it can backfire on you a lot, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't win now you're trying to figure out and scramble and figure out how to get certain pieces in there, or trying to figure out what went wrong where you can make yourself a better team. And a lot of times it's just either the players don't fit, or like I said, it's not your time to win right now. It's just, a waiting process, or it might not ever happen. So when you look at that, you got to look at it in its entirety, and you have to really analyze that. And really, James Worthy's right. I mean, if they kept Lonzo Ball by now, with Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle, I'm not a big fan of Julius Randle, but I mean, he's become like an all-star type player. So is Brandon Ingram, and hey, so is Lonzo Ball. Lonzo's really good, when he's healthy too. So, I mean, right now, if they had those 3 players with LeBron James and maybe like Anthony Davis or something like that, I mean, they would be a really, really good team, because you would have some youth out there. You would have some young guys that would go in there and know how to play the game, because they developed and they turned into the players that they kind of are now. And it would make the Lakers a lot better. They definitely would have made the playoffs. And that's exactly what James Worthy was speaking on, because the way I saw Brandon Ingram play with the Pelicans, in the early part of this playoffs, he was very impressive. I mean, he really was. I mean, he looked like the number 1 guy on the Pelicans rather than Zion being the number 1 guy. But he looked like the number 1 guy the way he was playing. And they gave Phoenix a really good run, what I'm saying? And they did, win in the play-in tournament by beating the Clippers. And, and plus adding, CJ McCollum definitely helped to their cause. But overall, B.I. is definitely a really good player. And he's really developing into a even even better than a good player. He might actually be a really, really good player here soon. So, and then you look at Lonzo, the way he was playing before he got hurt with the Bulls. I mean, his passing has always been there. His IQ for the game has always been there. But now he's starting to pick his spots and shoot better from 3-point range. His 3-point range is higher than it was, a couple years ago when he was on the Lakers. When he first came in the league, he shoots with more confidence now. And like I said, he's almost like a Jason Kidd with the passing, the way he can move the ball and find players in their spots. And he just has a knack for that. So that's just a natural gift that he has. So if he ever added shooting to it, being able to knock down threes, knock down jumpers, he would be a really effective player in the NBA and definitely could help a team win, because he does play a little bit of defense too. He's not a stranger to playing defense. He's not the best, but he's definitely not the worst. So, he's gotten better. And then, like I said, you look at Julius Randle. Like I said, last year, or maybe not this year, but last year, they the Knicks made the playoffs, and, him and Derrick Rose, carried the Knicks a little bit. They got to, I believe, first or second round, I believe. So, and like I said, he was an all-star, caliber player. So putting up all-star type numbers. So, this is what I'm saying. If they had those type players now, they would have a little bit more defense, and they wouldn't get, ran off the court sometime, because they would have young guys who can control the game. So LeBron can get more rest. And on top of that, they would have made the playoffs. If they had those three still, they would have made the playoffs with LeBron James and or with AD there too. They definitely would have made the playoffs. Now, maybe they wouldn't have had AD because, of course, the trades and everything like that. But LeBron with those three, honestly, they might not have won, a championship or anything like that. But I think by now they would be in contention to get a championship, because like I said, the way those three guys developed, with LeBron James' wisdom instilling it in those type players while they're developing, the Lakers would be so much of a better team right now. Now, I don't know if they would have won a championship in the bubble. I'm not sure about that, but it's very possible. And who knows, but at the same time, you got to look at that as well. They even gave away some of the players they had in the bubble. Alex Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, they gave away some key contributors. Alex Caruso is another young guy that they could have kept, who actually went to the Bulls. He's actually playing on the same team with Lonzo. He's another young guy that I think they should have kept as well, because of his defense. He can knock down a three. Now, I will say Austin Reeves, he's kind of like somewhat of a, Caruso, but not really, because he can't play that defense the way he can, to me, and he can't pass the ball the way Caruso can. Caruso could pass the ball really good, underratedly. So, there again, you're losing a key player in him who actually could play defense. I think Caruso was one of the leaders this year, or this past year, in steals. He gets a lot of steals. He gets his hand on a lot of balls, and he disrupts a lot of things, causes a lot of turnovers. And like I said, he's just a really smart player. And he's definitely, one of those players a lot of people like. So, there again, the Lakers just gave away pieces that really are turning out valuable in other areas and other situations where they could have kept these players and never known how they flourish. You might even could say that about, Kyle Kuzma, even though Kyle Kuzma, really didn't develop the way they thought he would. But maybe by now, or maybe by next year, whoever knows with the Lakers, maybe he might be more comfortable in his role. He might be playing it a little bit better. You never know. He did get a championship out of the Lakers though. So, good for him in the bubble. But at the same time, you got to look at the situation. The Lakers have to find a way to build and rebuild at some point. You can't always just try to, win now mentality, because it doesn't work that way. And if it worked that way, every team would be doing it, and they wouldn't even draft players. They would just keep all the players they got until they're completely old, and then get rid of them, and then they would draft players. The reason why they make drafts and have a draft every year, because you have to rebuild. That's just a part of the process. The dynasty or whatever a team is trying to build is not going to last forever. So you have to have some youth in there. And I think, of course, LeBron being there, he definitely doesn't like to rebuild. He's been on notice saying that many times before. He wants to win now. And I understand that, because he is getting older and things like that. Well, he is old now, but this is my point. That can't always be the case, because like I said, if they had some young guys they really could trust, like those three I just named that they let go, or should I say like James Worthy put out there, they would have made the play-in tournament, bare minimum at least. You see what I'm saying? By now, I mean, the way those players have developed. So now you find yourself not even making a playing tournament with 3 top 75 players, and you're looking dumb and embarrassed, and you're trying to figure out, what your next thrill is, what's your next move. Well, the only next move is to try to find a way to figure out how to keep the pieces you have, I guess, since you're not going to get rid of them. Maybe they might slide Anthony Davis somewhere else, but who knows? It don't look like they're getting rid of Russell Westbrook. And LeBron's still hanging around. He's still playing pretty good at his age. But you got to try to find a way to win, and I just don't see them winning. Next year is going to be another reenactment of this past year. They might make the play-in tournament. Who knows? But I mean, even if they do, I don't see them getting past the first round in a 7-game series because, like I said, nobody fears them. They really don't have no size in the paint, and the size they do have, when Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard's even older than what he was 3 years ago when they won in the bubble. And now Anthony Davis, he's even more injury prone than ever, so you can't count on him. And like I said, they really don't have no defense like that. And if you don't have defense, you're not going to beat many teams in the playoffs because you've got to have a formidable defense to excel yourself through different rounds out the playoffs as each round goes, because the competition gets harder as you go. So if they got past the first round, more than likely they wouldn't get past the second round if they made the playoffs next year, because the second round is going to entail a team like, who knows, the Clippers, maybe Denver, maybe even the Warriors. I mean, you never know. I mean, hey, maybe even Memphis. There again, they'll get ran out the gym. And this is why I said, and this is why I think what James Worthy said really has some validity to it. You got to start keeping your youthful players so you can continue on the legacy of the great Lakers legacy and how good they can become. I mean, think about it. James Worthy had to develop. Magic had to develop. all the players that's been there before. Kobe Bryant had to develop. When he first came to the league, when he was 17 and a half, 18 years old, I mean, he wasn't the player he was, 6-7 years in. His first year, he made a lot of mistakes. He airballed some big shots and, they lost in bad fashion. All those things, but you got to develop your players and you got to believe in your players. And I feel like, with LeBron there, that's where that gap comes in at, because that's the only thing I can say off the top of my head that I could think of that's a bad thing when it comes to LeBron. He doesn't like rebuilding, and he doesn't allow no team that he plays on to do so. And when that happens, you're hurting that team's future. Now, if you could win a couple of championships out of that or get a championship out of it, good. And the Lakers did get a championship out of it. And, a lot of people say it's an asterisk beside it because it was in the bubble and nobody wanted to be there but the Lakers. So, I mean, hey, they did get one. I can't knock them for that. No asterisk to me. But, I mean, hey, that's just the way people feel. I respect it. But at the same time, they should at least still be making the playoffs and being a formidable team now, especially with three superstars on one team. It's just unheard of. I mean, really. Like, most of the games, Anthony Davis might not have played, but most nights where I watched the Lakers this past season, 2 of the top 75 players were on the floor, whether it was Anthony Davis, Russ and LeBron, LeBron AD, or LeBron and Russ. It was always at least 2 of them on the floor most nights throughout this season. So they should have at least made the play-in tournament, but the fact they didn't even do that, they really are at square one. Now, I have to share this with you too. Of course, you already saw the breaking news. They hired Darvin Ham as the head coach. So, I mean, now you got a rookie head coach who was an assistant coach of the Bucks. And like I said, he did help, with Giannis' development and Chris Middleton and players like that. But I don't know how much he's going to bring to the Lakers. I don't know how much he's going to get out of these guys. They do respect him because he was a player and they do like him and things like that. And he was around the organization a lot. But coaching the team and liking the guys, 2 different things. So, I mean, I'm going to have to see how that pans out. They made their decision on him. It was really, really a roller coaster with the head coaching job. But at the same time, hopefully, they find some use out of him. I mean, I don't think he's going to do much better than Frank Vogel did. But I mean, hey, at the same time, maybe things are different because maybe are different voices in the locker room. Maybe that's what the Lakers need. A guy that can push them a little bit and, maybe get in their face a little bit and, kind of give them more encouragement. But I mean, honestly, Frankie V was a defensive head coach and the Lakers still didn't make the play-in tournament. I mean, this is a rookie head coach and Darvin Ham, who's never coached a team a day in his life. So, I mean, we don't even know what type of coach he's going to be. And when the pressure starts mounting, what type of coach is he going to be then when his back is against the wall, when the Lakers might go through a 6-7 game losing streak or something like that, and he has to answer all these questions? What is he going to be like then? I mean, I think Darvin Ham will be okay, but I mean, it's just really hard to predict when he doesn't have a resume in regards to coaching a team. So, I mean, that's another up in the air, if probable type situation And that's the way the Lakers are. Everything seems to be probable. Everything seems to be up in the air. And like I said, this past year was just an utter embarrassment. Just like, the legend himself said, James Worthy, and, other legends as well, other people who's chimed in on the Lakers season. But it's really just a discombobulated situation and a catastrophe. But we're going to have to see how it pans out with the new head coach and Darvin Ham. Shout out to him, for getting the job. And like I said, we'll see if these top 375 players on the Lakers and the rest of the crew, they can try to make something happen in the regular season. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos as always. And hey, Khaliis out.